Right, back tonight here on In Focus. Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa says municipalities in the country owe water boards over 10 billion rands collectively. Rustenburg in the northwest, Thabazimbi in Limpopo and Buffalo City in the Eastern Cape are amongst the biggest culprits. Comes as the government struggles with water infrastructure, which needs billions to maintain. The acting Water and Sanitation Deputy Director General, Dr Sean Phillips, joins us now for more on that conversation. Good to have you, Dr. Phillips. Is the department aware of this struggle by municipalities, certainly to service what they owe to water boards?
Yes, good evening, Thabo, and good evening to your listeners. I'm Sean Phillips. I'm the Director General of Water and Sanitation. Yes, we're very much aware of it. It affects different water boards differently. We have 7 water boards. One serves the Western Cape, and that one is not affected. It doesn't serve many municipalities there. Most municipalities there provide their own water. But we have 6 other water boards. The ones which we're most concerned about are the water boards which serve the Free State and the Northern Cape and the Northwest. And that's Vaal Central Water Board and Magalies Water, which are owed a lot of money by some municipalities. There's not all municipalities which are not paying. There's a few municipalities which are not paying, and we're particularly concerned about those municipalities which are quite large customers of the water boards which are not paying.
Yeah. Is there a relationship, DG, between the municipalities that owe a lot and the inability, for example, to use the municipal infrastructure grants, particularly as it pertains to the upgrade of water infrastructure? Because a staggering 60 billion is said to be misused, really, or not effectively spent by municipalities.
There isn't really, Thabo, because those grants are meant to help municipalities to address infrastructure backlogs. Municipalities buy water from water boards and they sell that water to their customers, who are the residents and businesses in the area. They're supposed to use that revenue from the sale of water to pay the water boards for the water, but also to maintain and operate their water infrastructure. They're not supposed to use the grants to pay the water boards.
Yeah. No, I'm drawing the parallel in sense that a lot of the water that they buy from water boards is lost due to unmaintained infrastructure. So they are unable to recoup the money because really the money gets lost. But they have these amounts for infrastructure maintenance which they are not properly using.
Yes, the grant that they get is not supposed to be for infrastructure maintenance. It's supposed to be to address infrastructure backlogs. In other words, do things like provide infrastructure to communities which don't yet have water services. We still have communities in South Africa which, even since 1994, have not received piped water supply, clean drinking water supply. That's what the grants are for. The municipalities are supposed to use the revenue they get from the sale of water to maintain their infrastructure. The problem is twofold. Firstly, municipalities don't have strong billing and revenue collection systems. And secondly, there's no obligation on them to use the revenue that they get from the sale of water to do maintenance and operation of their water infrastructure. And often municipal councils vote to use that money for other purposes. Right. Which is something that needs to be changed. We're working with National Treasury on that to bring in place legislative amendments to ensure that revenue that municipalities get from the sale of water is used for the maintenance and operation of their infrastructure and also to pay the water boards.
Now, if you were to look at what we need in the next 10 years to be able to address the water infrastructure challenges, what is this sum total or the amount that the government is looking at certainly getting? Because we hear that the incoming minister is saying we might need the private sector to plug the funding gap as far as water infrastructure is concerned.
Yes. Water in South Africa is financially self-sustaining. It's not something which is funded from your taxes, your income tax and your VAT, like education is, for example. So the whole fiscal system that we have in the country is that water is supposed to be financially self-sustaining. and users of water should pay for water. So as I indicated, municipalities sell water to their customers, and they misuse that money to operate and maintain their infrastructure, and they can also use that money to pay off loans that they can take out to improve their infrastructure and to expand their infrastructure. The same applies for water boards. Water boards don't get any budgets from government. They're entirely self-financing. The way that they operate is that, as I indicated, they sell water to municipalities, and they use the revenue that they get for operation and maintenance, but also they get loans from the pension funds and from the banks to invest in their infrastructure, and we do the same as the national government. So it's not something new for finance to be raised on the financial markets, and it's largely pension fund money and banks' money that is used to invest in the water sector. It's generally not the case that water is funded by government. If that were to be the case, it would require a huge increase in income taxes and VAT.
Right. And now when you look, for example, at a report that says the total amount in the Northwest, which was not properly used as far as the infrastructure grant, is more than 2.1 billion. Is there a plan? In fact, it's the money owed to water boards, I beg your pardon. Is there a plan that as a department you can lend support, maybe at a provincial level, to these municipalities that are struggling in the Northwest?
We do lend a lot of support to municipalities all over the country in a variety of ways. As you mentioned, they get infrastructure grants from national government. We also assist them with training, with capacity building, with guidelines. We do detailed assessments of their water and sanitation infrastructure, and as a result of that, they're informed of exactly what is wrong with them and what they need to do to address it. We advise them of what kind of staff they need to hire with the correct qualifications to operate their water treatment works and wastewater treatment works properly. But the impact of that support is limited when the support is not used by the municipalities that it's offered to. So recognizing that, we've developed some amendments to the Water Services Act to strengthen our ability to ensure that when municipalities provide water services, they have the necessary capability to do so. Those amendments were issued for public consultation during last financial year, and we'll be shortly submitting them to Parliament for it to be processed. The aim there is to create an environment where municipalities have a legal obligation to only appoint water service providers, which can be their own internal departments or other implementers of the water services function in the municipality, and they can use water boards as well, for example. Yeah. There must be a legal requirement that those water service providers must have an operating license from the national department, which will ensure that they have the necessary capability. So we will continue to offer support to municipalities, but we also need to have stronger regulatory powers to ensure that over and above support, municipalities do their jobs properly, and municipalities ensure that water services are provided by capable and well-managed institutions.
If I recollect properly, there is, I don't know whether it's a legal requirement or is it something that is suggested to municipalities to set aside a portion of what they collect as far as revenue for maintaining the infrastructure, be it water infrastructure, be it electricity infrastructure, whatsoever. But what we've, of course, come to learn is that most municipalities do not meet that particular threshold that has been set aside for them to actually put away as budgets for maintenance, at least from the Auditor General's report. Is there something similar that you can come up with as a department that makes it a legal requirement that they set aside this amount of money?
Yes, it's not currently a legal requirement. It's a national treasury guideline that municipalities should allocate at least 8% of their budgets to maintenance of their infrastructure. Many municipalities don't do that. It's not a legal requirement currently. It's difficult for the national government to to put legal requirements on how municipalities can budget, because in terms of our constitution as a country, municipalities are a separate sphere of government. They have separate elections. As you know, we have local government elections. We elect the people to lead municipalities, and they have the legal powers to decide in the municipal councils how to allocate the budgets. It would be unconstitutional for the national government to try and dictate to them how they should allocate their budgets. But we, as I indicated, we are working with National Treasury to see if incentives can be put in place to ensure that, as a minimum, there's a relationship between the budgets allocated to the water function and the amount of revenue that's collected from water, so that we can move away from the situation where what revenues that are collected from the sale of water are used for other functions, and then the water services deteriorate.
Right. Now, the cumulative debt, for example, around electricity, we've seen how townships would have been affected, where electricity is switched off for extended periods of time. Businesses are being affected by that. This cumulative debt to water boards, will it reach that point where we'll begin to see manufacturing, for example, being affected, big companies being affected, but also water that is being articulated into households beginning to be curtailed?
Well, we have to do, we can't allow this situation of debts threatening the financial viability of water boards to continue, because as I indicated, the water boards are financially self-sustaining, so there's no budgets from any government departments to bail them out. So if a water board goes bankrupt, it will stop providing water to all the municipalities that it services, which would be a disaster for that area, for those municipalities. So we are prioritizing addressing this issue in collaboration with COGTA and National Treasury. We've standardized the debt collection processes of all of our water boards. They're implementing stringent credit control and debt collection measures now, including, as a last resort, restricting supply to municipalities to get them to pay. And we also have agreed with Treasury as a last resort that they will withhold the equitable share allocations to municipalities which are consistent non-payers of their water bills to the water boards until they pay their bills to the water boards. I'm quite confident that with these measures and this agreement with the National Treasury, we have the ability to ensure that no water boards go bankrupt and that water continues to be supplied to all the municipalities.
Dr. Sean Phillips, Director General of the Department of Water and Sanitation, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on this evening. That is the DG at the Department of Water and Sanitation on their intervention, of course, to the just over 10 billion rands that is owed to water boards by various municipalities.